هناك مسائل عديدة جدا.
الذي يجوز إعطاء الزكاة لصنف الواحد،
لأن رسالة محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام خاتم.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد، يسرني في هذه الحلقة 11 من برنامج مقرر اللغة الإنجليزية لطلاب المستوى الثاني قسم الدعوة. أقول طلاب وطالبات المستوى الثاني قسم الدعوة في كلية الدعوة والإعلام، وكذلك طلاب وطالبات قسم الشريعة المستوى الرابع. نبدأ الحلقة 11. We start this session on page 102. We have some stylistic way that when we talk about, if you remember that we talked about the order, the time order of the things, but in writing we have special words that we use, as you see in the slides. So time order words, we have first. First, mostly when we start talking about something, and then we have then. So first and then. We use these words when we want to connect what happened first and what happened next. We can, in fact, we can vary these things. Instead of, we might say that first and next and then. And for example, as you see that first, then, next, later, finally. These are the expressions that are used to show the reader that you have specific order in your writing. Now let's go to read something on page 101. Just we go backward for one page. Here we have the poster, or let's say we have the picture, and you see the order of the events, يعني الأحداث, the order of the events. When look with me at the book page 101 and look at the picture, as you see that we have starting point, we have the final point. You see that we have a starting point, we have the end or the final point. Through these, we know that according to the line or to the arrows, that we know that things, this happened before this and this happened after that. From the picture that we have, we want to organize the lines according to the time order on the sentences below the poster. So let's read all of these together first, and to decide where we are, whether the first one is really the first one, or the second is the second, or the third, or we want to shuffle, we want to mix, we want to rearrange these sentences according to the time. يعني بناء على حسب الوقت الذي يحصل بالأول نضع رقم واحد، اللي يحصل بعده الثاني we put number 2 and 3 and 4 according to what happened first, next till the end. Okay, let's read these together, and first of all I'm going to read all of these, and while we are reading, in fact, we want to look at the picture. If we find the sentence that the sentence that talks about something at the beginning, then it will take number 1, and the second will take second, and the third and the last one will take the last number. In fact, we have 7 sentences, so we want to arrange them according to what happened first, second, next. A, people in Ireland saw his plane in the sky. As you see, Ireland almost at the end, so definitely this is not number 1. because we see that there are things happened before. He landed in Le Bourget Field in Paris at 10:45 p.m. So this one is almost so where he landed. They didn't talk about when he took off. So this one, just put in mind, and we'll talk about the arrangement. He flew over the Eiffel Tower. So this something, think with me, it could be at the end or at the beginning. So consider it the way that you want. Then D. Lindbergh flew over Nova Scotia in Newfoundland. In Newfoundland, yes. This is B. And we have E. Lindbergh traveled over the dark Atlantic Ocean toward Europe. So there's something in the middle. Lindbergh took off from Roosevelt Field in New York at 7:54 a.m. And this is solved for us as this is number 1. So we start this story from when he took off. This is the beginning of his trip. took off يعني أقلع بالطائرة. And thousands of people greeted him when he got out of the Spirit of St. Louis. You know, this is the name of the plane that he used. Okay, so let's go and read, and I'm going to number these according to the chronological order. So number 1 is going to be F. So Lindbergh took off from Roosevelt Field in New York at 7:54 a.m. Number 2 is going to be D. Number 2 is going to be D. Lindbergh flew over Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So this is the second thing that after he took off. So this is number 2. Number 3 is E. Lindbergh traveled over the dark Atlantic Ocean toward Europe. This is number 3. Number 4 is A. People in Ireland saw his plane in the sky. So this is number 4. C is number 5. C. He flew over the Eiffel Tower. And we have B is number 6. He landed in Le Bourget Field near Paris at number 6. He landed in Le Bourget Field in Paris at 10:24 p.m. So this is number 6, and the last thing that he was, after he landed, he was greeted by people. Then this is number 7, which is G. Thousands of people greeted him when he got out of his Spirit of St. Louis. So the order of these will be, if you want to write these down, 4, 6, 5, 2, 3, 1, 7. Now we go back to the chronological order or the time order. As we said that we have first, then next, then we might say that before the end, or finally the conclusion. So we have many phrases in addition to what you saw that in the slides. Now we go to this reading. Complete the paragraph with appropriate. We have a paragraph. You know this paragraph. Appropriate time order words. The time order words that we studied before, and you can look at the top of the page, and if you want to learn more. In fact, what is in there is important to know and memorize, especially when you want to write. Okay, more than one answer is possible. Yes, it's true. We might say that first, then, or we say next, or if we have two or three, we have choices. But let's read and have the one of the right choices. Read with me or look at the book with me. Lindbergh planned his flight very carefully. First, he took off, so the first empty space is first. First, he took off from Roosevelt Field in New York at 7:54 a.m. and we mentioned this a.m. means in the morning, and flew toward Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. We start with first, then, so the second space is then. Lindbergh traveled over the dark Atlantic Ocean toward Europe. People in Ireland saw his plane in the sky. Next, he flew over the Eiffel Tower. And finally, this is the last sentence of the paragraph, or the last phrase in here. Finally, he landed in Le Bourget Field near Paris at 10:24 p.m. When he got out of his plane, thousands of people welcomed him to France. So this reading shows us the order of the events. Events يعني الأحداث. When we start first, then, next, and finally. These are the words help us, in fact, to organize our ideas and to help the reader to know what happened first, what happened next, and what happened finally. So these are the important words that we need to know when we think about writing. We have here the writing on your own on page 103. We have the writing. And look at the slides in the computer. Complete the paragraph, that's what we did. And on your own, practice writing. Here, look at, write a paragraph. This is on page 103. Write a paragraph about a time when your life changed in a good way or in a bad way. As this happened to people, people are not the same way in their life. Sometimes they have good times, sometimes they have bad times. Anyone can remember something that the good times in his life or the bad times in his life. So it's good that to practice this kind of writing, the change of that happened in your life. So this is one of the choices that you can write this one, or the second one that we have, write a paragraph of an old person telling the high points and the low points in his or her life. So it could be a man or a woman, but it's recommended that to have the story of a person, an old person that talks about his or her experience in the life. Especially if when we talk with old people, they will tell us very interesting stories where they had very good times and other stories that they had bad times. But in this story, since we are talking about an old person talking about the past, then it's recommended that to use the simple past tense. This is another choice that you can pick and write. And we have the third choice that, as you see in the slides, there is a saying said, and this Andy Warhol said that everyone has 15 minutes of fame. This is an interesting thing that to know. What does that mean? 15 minutes of fame. It means that very short time that you are on the focus. يعني الأنظار موجهة عليك و you are the major personality in the event. Example of this, when a person is graduated from school, so all people are coming and congratulating him or her about the success or the achievement. So this person is in focus. And sometimes when a person promoted in the job, and when a person is visiting his or her relatives, where he is welcomed to that place. And maybe the most important event that we know, that when a person gets married. So this is because of the major focus on that person. So as I read this one again, as Andy Warhol said that everyone has 15 minutes of fame, write a paragraph telling what happened and how the person changed. Use simple past tense. You can get this your own story or the story of someone that you attended the occasion, and definitely that we want you to use the simple past because you are telling something about the past. Here, the last thing that in this unit, something that you can do your own. Let's read this. Share your writing with a partner. Read the partner's paragraph, then answer these questions. In fact, as I said and repeated before, that when you write something, get the feedback from others. The others, because when you write, you want others to read. When you write, you want others to read and understand you. It's recommended that when you write something, give it to a person to read, to check where you missed something, where you some points are not clear. So in here, then answer these questions. These questions are you are going to answer after you read the other person's writing. So you tell that person to make his or her points clear. Did the writer use simple past tense for the past events? This is really important, and sometimes students make mistakes in using the right tense in their writing or in their expressions. So yes, it's good that to have the feedback of that person. Or did the writer use the time order? Underline the time order. This one is really very important, that when you want to write about something, and especially if you are talking about events, so start with the oldest events and move to the newest, or in anyhow make the time order of your writing, because mixing the time order, that makes the people not understand your concept, your writing. As we read on page 101, if we read these events the way that they are written, then I think it's without having the poster on this page, then we will have problems in here. So, but if they are arranged the way that we talked about, it seems to me that people can understand the writing easily, and they understand the concept behind this. the C, and we have the last thing on page 104, that is there one sentence you think is very interesting? Yes, sometimes in the writing you see some of the sentences are interesting and you like these sentences, and the other way around, that sometimes you see that sentences are not clear, so even you cannot figure out or find out what is the meaning in this, and what is the intention, or what does the writer want to tell the readers about this event. By this we consider that this is the end of Unit 6, so we conclude this session at this time, and we have we'll continue the next session in the next time, and till that time have a good day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
هناك مسائل عديدة جدا.
أنه يجوز إعطاء الزكاة لصنف الواحد،
لأن رسالة محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام خاتمة